Hi, preschool parents. Here are our lesson plans for May 4th through May 7th. And this will be our last full week of lesson plans. Next week will be shorter because we end next Wednesday. So here's what I have for you this week. Monday, letter hunt. So take the letter cards and hide them easily around the house. Your child can find one at a time to bring to you. When they bring you a letter card, they can indicate the letter name and the sound that's on the card. To make this a little bit more difficult, you can cut apart the capitals from the lower cases and then hide them as well. That gets a little bit trickier for them because they're used to kind of seeing them together a lot of the times. So we want to make sure that they can indicate what those letters are even when they are apart. Also, to make it a little bit more easy, you could hide just a few at a time and keep them together. The next activity is called number caterpillars. So this can be done a number of different ways. One of the ways is it can be done outside with chalk or inside with paper and markers, crayons, pencils, whatever you want to use. So you're going to start by drawing a circle with a face on it for the beginning of the caterpillar. And then parents, you can choose a number, or I know Kinsley likes to kind of be in charge. So your child can choose the number as well. And then write that number beside the caterpillar. And then you're going to add that many circles to form the rest of the caterpillar. So for example, if you have number 5 written by the caterpillar's head, your child is then going to draw 5 more circles connected to the head to make it look like a little worm. All right, and then the last activity for Monday is a countdown chain. If we were at school, we always make a countdown chain the beginning of May to count down to the end of the school year. So I thought it'd be fun for them to do it at home as well. So they can choose to count down to the last day of online learning or the first day of summer, or if you have any upcoming birthdays in your family, really anything special. So you'll cut that many strips of paper. You know, if you have 10 days until your countdown, then you're just going to cut 10 strips of paper. You can also write those numbers on the chain, on the strips if you want to. Then you're just going to glue the ends of the strips and hook them together. And then every day they can take off one of the links of the chain, and it just helps them count down to that special day. On to Tuesday. So the first activity is called kickball letters. So using your chalk, you can go outside and just form a line of letters, and I kind of space them out a little bit. And then have your child stand a little bit ways back from the letters, from the line of letters, and have them use a ball. You'll indicate a letter for them, and they're going to try to kick that ball to that letter. For example, in your line of letters, if you have a K in there and you tell them to kick the ball to the K, they're going to try to line up that ball and kick it to that letter. The next activity is called swap the number. This is another one that can be easily done outside with chalk, or you can be inside and just use the number cards and lay them out on the floor. So if you're outside, just write a lot of numbers in an area. If you're inside, like I said, just lay the number cards out. And then you're going to give your child a number, and they'll use a fly swatter and hit that number. If you don't have a fly swatter, you can always just have your child jump on that number, things like that. All right, the next one for Tuesday is form an emergency plan. So the first thing I want you to do is go over some fire safety tips, such as what do you do if fire gets on you? You're going to stop, drop, and roll. What if you are in a building that is on fire? You're going to get out and stay out. The firemen will go in and get special items, pets, anything else that's left in the house. And then also, this is a great time to, if you haven't already, find a safe meeting spot outside that everybody in your family knows. Then I want you to show your child how to dial 911 on all phones in the house. We did this with Kinsley, and we obviously all have the same just cell phones in our house. And so I showed her how to dial it on my phone, my husband's phone, and then we went to my mom and dad's house and we showed her how to dial it on their home phone. And then just remind them it's important to stay calm if they would ever have to dial 911. And also I should have put in there, also remind them that you only dial 911 if there is an emergency. We don't just do that for fun. Then work on learning your home address, because if they were ever needing to dial 911 at their house, they would probably be asked if they know what their address is. One thing that we did, because our address is super long because we live out in the country, is we took a decent sized chunk of cardboard and wrote down our address on that cardboard. And then I also wrote down my phone number and my husband's phone number. And we have it in a little cupboard on our porch. That's easy for Kinsley to get to, and she knows right where it's at. That way, if she ever would have to dial 911 and they ask the address, she can easily read it off. And every so often, we pull that cardboard out and have her read it off, just so she can remember what that address is. And then you might want to talk about some things that they might be asked if they would ever have to dial 911, such as, they might need to say their first and last name, give as many details as possible as to why they're calling, and never hang up if they would ever have to make that 911 call. Just so you have a little plan in place, just because, heaven forbid they would never have to be in that situation. But, our kids are getting to the age now that we can trust them to do some of this stuff if there would ever be an accident. But hopefully there never would be. Okay, and then on to Wednesday. First activity is a capital and lowercase match. So you can cut the letter cards apart for this activity, or make new cards on paper or cardboard with, A through Z, the capital form on each letter getting its own card, and then same with the lowercase. Lay the cards out and have your child try to match all the capitals with the lowercase. If you want to make it a little more tricky, you can make this a memory game. But if it's easier for them to just see all the letters out and match them up, that's okay too. Also, if you need to scale it back and just put out, maybe 10 capitals and 10 lowercases at a time, that is okay too. Then the next activity for Wednesday is summer story problems. Have your child draw out the summer story problems to solve them. You can use the dry erase marker on the windows, or you can go outside and use chalk on the ground, or you can use paper and crayons, markers, or a pencil. And you can just follow this link and it'll lead you to some summer story problems. The last activity for Wednesday is My Big World, and it's called Pop Goes the Bubble. You can read through the reader and learn about the properties of bubbles, and then there's a little bubble activity on the back of the reader. If you follow this link, you can sign in as a student, and the password is Casper's. Then for Thursday, the first activity is a sound sort. So you want to find a group of objects that are going to be sorted by sound. So I just put some examples in there just in case you're kind of trying to figure out what can we sort. So for example, you might get a book, a ball, a baby, candy, a crayon, a card, plate, paint, penny, rock, rug, and a ring. And place all the items in a pile. And you can talk about them. Make sure your child, because maybe they're thinking it's a baby, and maybe they think it's a doll, but you have it listed as a baby, just so you get on the same page of what you're going to call each item. And then they're going to sort the items by their beginning sound. The next activity is Number War. So we played this a couple weeks ago. You can place the number cards in a pile. Each person that's playing is going to draw a card, and you can turn it over, and they can indicate what number they drew. But then maybe have your child decide who won the number war by determining who drew the largest number. Whoever wins that round gets to keep those cards, and at the end, whoever has the most cards wins. And like I said a couple weeks ago, to make it a little bit more tricky, you can create new cards that just have the number written on them. That way they don't have any clue as to which number is bigger. And then the last activity for Thursday is a severe weather discussion. So watch for a link later in this week for this activity. I have a little book that I'm going to read them, and then we just go over some things such as, severe weather can surprise us, but we don't need to be scared because the adults are going to keep us safe, and just some other safety tips that go along with severe weather. Then for some other ideas this week, create a summer bucket list. This little link right here has a really easy summer bucket list that has, maybe 20 to 40 easy summer activities, and you can just print it off. It's already kind of formatted really cute, or create your own. It can be really simple things. The next activity is create a bubble snake or try to make your own bubbles. So me and Kinsley seen this where you take either a bottle or a pool noodle and put a sock on the end, dip it in some bubbles, and then you blow through it and it makes this really cool bubble snake. So this link right here is just a little video on how to make the bubble snake. And this little link here is a recipe to make a little science project to make your own bubbles at home. And then the last activity is to create a Mother's Day gift for mom. If you follow this link here, it's just a little like picture they can draw for mom and then some questions they can answer, because we would be doing that this week in our classroom, creating some special gifts for all you hardworking moms out there. So, and then letter of the week, we have learned all the letters. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So also just looking forward to Thursday this week for show and share. It's going to be, they get to show something that starts with their favorite letter. We're going to kind of have a letter party Zoom since we learned all the letters. Kinsley wants to make popcorn to eat during the Zoom, so I will kind of type that in there too. But if your child wants to do something fun during the Zoom to make it kind of like a letter party, more power to them. I will love that. It'll be fun. And then, yes, we have learned all the letters. So I hope you guys have a great week. And also just remember to leave a quick comment just so I know you got it. Thank you.